Hey, welcome everybody. Um, and happy holidays. We have hard to believe it's almost the end of the year. This is our last show of 2024. Um, I just wanted to say a couple things here. It's been a great year. We've had a lot of great guests, and been a lot of fun. Um, our next show will not be until January 11th, because the first Thursday, which we normally use, is January 2nd, so that makes it a little tough for the holiday week. And with that, our guest that night will be Tobin James. So we're really looking forward to that. And one other announcement is the member party this year will be April 26th. It will be at the Willow Creek Wine Company off the 46 West. And I just found out that Mac is going to join us as one of our guest winemakers. Thank you, Mac. And so we're really looking forward to that. I don't have all the other details yet, but I will shortly.
I don't know how to do that. You'll have to.
So anyways, with that being said, first of all, I'd like to introduce our special guest tonight, McPrice Myers. I don't know if I don't know if everybody's been there before, but if you ever taste his wine, they're extraordinary, and it's a great stop. And Liz is joining us, who kind of runs things there. She's wonderful communicator.
Absolutely.
So very responsive, answers questions real quick. It's really good. But anyways, she's been very helpful to me to learn more about McPrice Myers. But I'll let Jason kick it off, and we'll start finding out a little bit about Mac and learn something about his journey. Jason?
Thank you, Mike. Welcome everybody. Happy holidays. Um, I would just like to share that I don't know if it won't show up, will it? Or I gotta put it in front of my
Yeah, it
face.
is.
I'm very much enjoying this Paper Street Cuvées. Excellent. Um, but welcome. Happy holidays. Our special December holiday edition featuring uh, the Robles Press Magazine 2024 Winemaker of the Year. Is it okay if I call you Mac?
Of course. Absolutely.
Mac, welcome, welcome. It's an honor to have you here. Excited to chat with you tonight. Before we get into the wine journey, we'd like to kind of explore some your personal background. I think, if I recall correctly, you are also a SoCal guy, right?
Correct.
From the valley, or San Gabriel Valley, at least anyway,
San
right?
Gabriel Valley. Yep.
Yeah.
The other valley. That's not
Yeah,
really the valley.
the,
Yeah.
the other valley for sure. By the way, you guys didn't feel the earthquake up there today, did you?
No.
No, good. Yeah, it was quite a ways north, right?
Yeah. And then they
Yeah.
didn't even feel it in San Francisco. So it was way up
Oh,
north and out in the ocean. Yeah.
got it. Good. So, just to jump in, early days pre-wine. Can you tell us a little bit of the highlights of what life was like for Mac before you got into wine?
Yeah, I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley. Pretty normal existence for that area. But I was really into sports. I played sports and you know, didn't really care about much else besides sports. And and then when yeah, actually when that after that happened, that's when I got hurt, finally got hurt and couldn't play anymore.
Finally
That's
got
when
hurt.
well, I knew I was hurt many times, but finally to the career ending injury, I should say. That's what kind of started this next journey.
And that
Or at
was
least,
a baseball injury?
yep. I
Well,
had my last elbow surgery in this would have been 1994. and couldn't play. I was playing college baseball for Rio Hondo College in Whittier, California.
Oh, I know.
Um, yeah, right there. Whittier. Yeah, we weren't very good, but at least we had a program. And yeah, no, it was. And I got hurt, and yeah, I had to, I always joke around, but I hated school. I hated going to school since I was a little kid. I did not like the classroom. I did not like anything about that. I don't know why. Even now, when I go visit my son in school, when I just smell the classroom, it drives me bonkers. Uh, but I like to learn. I just don't like school. And I was going to school, and I didn't really want to continue on that. Um, and so a bunch of my buddies that I was hanging out with, and we were kind of troublemakers running the streets of Whittier and La Mirada, and but they said, hey, you got to get a job where we work. And that was a little company at the time, a little market called Trader Joe's. And back then it was much smaller than it is now. I think there was only about 30 locations. This was in 94, and got a job there. And that's kind of how I got introduced to wine. I didn't come from, a family that drank wine or knew anything about wine. I think the only time I ever noticed there was a bottle of anything wine related, sparkling or whatever, it was sparkling wine with a plastic cork, and I think everybody knows what that is. It was not, it was not, it was not something, but and so got hired there. And back then when you get hired at a grocery store, you're either a sweat hog, which means you stock shelves and you do all that kind of stuff, or you're more customer service based. But Trader Joe's they said, no, you got to do it all. You got to be well rounded. And so we did a lot of food tasting, and then we did weekly wine tastings. And I was lucky enough, my boss at the time said, hey, I know you're not 21, but you should at least taste the wines and spit it out. If you could tell me something about the wine, I'll let you continue to taste with us when we do tastings. And I took him up on that. And after 18 months to 2 years doing that, he kind of encouraged me to go up and visit the wineries when I turned 21. And that was kind of that was my moment. I kind of felt it. I kind of like knew something. He was really intrigued by what I would say about wine. And I had that there's a vibe there I liked. I just felt it. But then once I went up and visited a winery and got to see it and feel it and smell it and walk the vines, I said, that's it. And I met winemakers that were, doing what I do now. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be in the trenches. I want to do it. And
what was that
I'm
first
much,
winery visit?
oh, there was a whole bunch. I went to Arciero, Adelaida was one that I went to, Adelaida. I visited in Santa Barbara County. I visited Fess Parker. Go down the list. When Pizzenti was a winery back then.
Yeah.
What was the other one that was on the corner that's now Donati? Machintuano, Norman, Tablas was just starting back then. Yeah, there was a whole bunch, but ultimately when I got to see like kind of behind the scenes, and when I started talking to people, most people were gracious enough to kind of tell me like, hey, look, I went to school for something else, and then I got into wine, and I'm not formally educated. And to this day, I will say that some of my favorite and most respected winemakers I know are not formally educated. So I realized even back then, I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I just got to do it. So I started saving money when I was 21. And by 25, I had enough money to kind of buy some barrels and my first grapes. And I found a place in Santa Maria called Central Coast Wine Services that unfortunately no longer exists. But and there was about 40 wineries in that facility. And I was starting my wine journey in this incredible incubator. It was just amazing. It was Russell and I, who was my former partner on Barrel
Hang tight on
27.
that. I don't
Yeah.
want to get you too
Okay.
far
You
ahead.
got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Hey, well, real quick before I go there with you and Russell, are you still playing baseball or any sports in your free time?
No, a little bit of golf here and there,
Golf.
but I'm horrible at golf. Uh, no, I don't really, it's too much work. My schedule's pretty full all the time. No more sports, no more anything like that. But, you
No.
know, yeah.
Do you get to do any fun activities in your free time? Any hobbies or has it become all consuming for you?
All consuming.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. I love what
Yeah.
I do. This is what I signed up for. I love it. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
And it's paying off for sure. Uh, other aside from wine, what's your favorite non-wine adult beverage?
Beer.
Okay.
No, I'm not a big cocktail spirit guy. If I'm going to drink anything other than wine, beer. Beer is
And
my
you have a go-to beer?
not really. I like to venture out and try a bunch of different things, I explore that realm for sure. But yeah.
A lot of
Oh
good
yeah,
options.
Liz just said we drink sake. She's actually right. I didn't even think about that. That's like, 4 times a year. Well, I do enjoy sake. I geek out on it a bit. I just don't drink it as much as I'd like. But yeah, thanks, Liz.
Liz, feel free to unmute yourself and interject with any of those little
Yeah,
nuggets along the way.
Of course, I
yeah.
can
So
jump in and make fun of Mac.
perfect. So, so Mac, then you're at Trader Joe's and you're getting this exposure, and I think that's a really cool story about how he had you taste and spit, but give some notes, and you clearly had some interesting things to say about it. By the way, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like we've talked to a couple of winemakers that came the Trader Joe routes. I think Andy Nihal was one that comes to mind.
That's
I don't know if,
correct. Right, I
yeah,
believe so.
I feel like there was somebody else. I don't know if you did you cross paths with any other current day winemakers in your Trader Joe days?
No, I didn't cross paths with them, but after I started doing the wine thing, coming from Trader Joe's, I definitely was visited by a bunch of them. Andy being one of them. My our current associate winemaker Adrian Perez was a Trader Joe's guy that got introduced to me via Trader Joe's. Yeah, no, that's definitely there's a few of us. But when I did it, I was, at the time, I think I was the first to do it. And which was great because anytime anybody from Trader Joe's came in, I was definitely, up for educating them and giving them any direction I could for sure.
So when you were doing those tastings at Trader Joe's, or anytime thereafter as you were visiting wineries, was there a particular wine that really kind of caught your attention and made you think differently about wine?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple there, but I was lucky to have uh, a 61 Cheval Blanc out of a 3 liter, who was
Wow.
which was provided at a tasting I was part of that I got invited to because of they knew I loved wine and they loved having me there because I geek out on everything with them. But now he's a club member, but he was the president of Trader Joe's at the time. But I would say on a more beginning level, we used to sell the Coudelet wines from Beaucastel. And the first time I had those, that's when I really connected with the Rhone world. And I think we sold them back then for I want to say $12.
No way.
Oh yeah, this
Uh,
was, yeah, it would have been 94, 95. And I remember tasting it and I was spitting it out and I was telling my boss about it. And then I liked it so much that I had a guy that was 21 buy me a bottle and sneak it out to me after our shift. And that was amazing. That was an amazing wine. I mean, that's like baby Châteauneuf, right? It's
yeah,
absolutely gorgeous. And that was that was that was one of those wines that really kind of I felt the Rhone world kind of speak to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
And then I had, I had some I had some Rhone, Northern Rhone stuff we used to sell the Colombier, Carnasse. There was a few of them that really spoke to me. But that wine in particular, I do remember. And then in just the California world, I would say, a lot of Napa stuff. Mayacamas was the first wine. Um, all three of them we did at one tasting: a Chard, the Merlot, and the Cab. I was kind of blown away. I really liked that old school style. I didn't know it was old school then. It was just whatever it was. But I still have a couple magnums of the Chardonnay from '97 in my cellar
It's
of that are still sitting there. I'm sure they're amazing. Last time I popped one, it was probably about 5 years ago. It was still young,
of the
still a young
Mayacamas.
wine. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
Those are
So,
kind of like Stony Hill style back in the
yeah.
day. Yeah.
So after Trader Joe's, did you work any other wine
Nope.
jobs? You went straight
Nope.
from that right into your own
I,
label,
I
huh?
had to keep my job. I needed the money, so I started making wine while I was working at Trader Joe's, and I
Were
did.
you working at the Templeton location?
No, no, I was working down south. So I started the winery. I started making wine in 2002. I didn't leave Trader Joe's till 2005. And then
Whoa.
the last couple years, I actually rented a room up in up in the Central Coast and was up there 4 days a week, and then would be down south 3 days a week. So I worked seven
Wow.
days a week for probably about good 2-3 years.
Well, that's serious road warrior work.
It was. And you know
Yeah.
what? The thing was, it was great because then I could pack my truck full of wine and then hit up every wine shop from Santa Maria down to Orange County. I was living in Orange County at the time. And it was great. I could hit up Wade's Wines or Lazy Acres in Santa Barbara, Wade's Wines, the Wine House, um, High Time Cellars, Wine Exchange, all of them. And deliver some wine, try to sell them on some wine. So my goal was I'd pack 20 cases in my truck and try to have it all gone out of my truck by the time I got home on my last day.
So, largely self-taught, but did you have any mentors along the way? Anybody
Of
that you met?
course, yeah, lots of people that helped out. Where I started, and that's why I say about the Central Coast Wine Services. It was like an incubator. It was like there was it was, and I know I don't want to, but Russell and I, Paul Lotto, Gary Gibson, who owns Shadow Canyon, who's no longer, no longer a winery, but he was there. It was all the Santa Barbara County people. It was Hitching Post and Lane Tanner and Seth Coonan, um, who unfortunately passed. But there was like Stephen Ross, and it was 40 wineries there. So it was like I had all this place to like learn from, make my own wine, but make my own wine, but also learn from all these guys. And it was unbelievable. Joe Davis from Arcadian was there. I'm trying to think. It was some wineries that are no longer around, but it was great. And I would just volunteer my time. I had all this time. I was only making 5 or 6 tons of grapes, and at that time, and I would volunteer. Hey, I'll do your punch downs, but can I pick your brain? I'll clean your press. I'll clean your tanks, but can I pick your brain about something? I to this day I've met some lifelong friends and people that I cherish in my growth. But it was an incredible moment that I just you couldn't replace. It was just so much you could learn if you wanted to, while doing starting your own brand. It was great. It was
And you're
unbelievable.
working there side by side with iconic winemakers from Pinot to huge Syrahs, or has
Yeah.
everything Russell does is just kind of massive, right? So that's quite a diversity in exposure and talent.
Oh, it was great. It was unbelievable. You know, you could really kind of fine tune what you're doing. You could learn from people that, you know, do a little more restrained style. But it's style aside, you learn techniques, you learn nuance, you learn, you know, you learn all these little things that it's so nice to have this knowledge. Because still today I use things that you know, it's like every vintage. Sometimes it's something I did 20 years ago, I bring back, or, you know, it's always beautiful that way to have all this knowledge that you can kind of tap into. Um, and yeah, that was an incredible, I was so fortunate to be there at that time. It was a really magical time. And I think that, um, having these friendships that I've built, and everybody kind of off doing their own thing now, but we all look back on that moment. It was such an innocent time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I want to come back and explore some more of that, but before we make that transition, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike real quick.
Yeah, so uh, I just want everybody to accumulate add some questions to the chat. Of course, we'll come to you to ask Mac directly. We'll find out a little bit more about the winery and everything. But Mac, we have a little segment here. We'll have a little fun. It's the holidays, so this is very holiday theme. So don't worry about it. Take your time answering the questions.
We're
So
real thinkers.
yeah. Would you rather have 11 pipers piping or 12 drummers drumming?
Ooh, I'm gonna take the drummers.
Yeah, okay.
Good call.
Would you rather ride in Santa's sleigh or ride up front on Rudolph's back?
Ooh, I like the cruise, man. I'm gonna take the sleigh.
Okay. Well, this is a good one. Would you rather only eat fruitcake for holiday desserts or not have dessert at all?
No dessert.
Yeah.
Easy peasy on that
I'd
one.
go
Come
with you
on.
on that one. Would you rather invite Cousin Eddie to Christmas dinner or invite Clark Griswold?
Oh, come on. That's tough. That's real tough. That's a good one. Whoever thought about that one? That's awesome. I'm gonna go Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Eddie's much
Come on,
funnier.
he's legit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's funnier.
I mean, he's funnier. I mean, you know, the laughs we would have
Clark
are
is a little
amazing.
bunched up. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's accidental, you know, accidental funny. This, yeah, that's Eddie for sure.
Right. Would you rather be green like the Grinch or have ears like an elf?
Ooh, I already got kind of big ears, so I'll take the ears like an elf.
And last one. Would you rather have your toilet play Jingle Bells or We Wish You a Merry Christmas every time you flush?
I don't. We wish you a Merry Christmas because Jingle Bells drives me bonkers
I
at
don't
the end
think
of the season.
there's something about Jingle Bells. It had
Oh, that just
there's
gets
a
me.
joke in there. But anyways,
Yeah, yeah.
anyways, uh, I'm going to turn it back over to Jason.
There's many jokes in there, by the way.
I know, like, sorry, it started to run through my mind.
Yeah,
Wait, thank you. Anyways,
you
Jason,
got it.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the little intermission. So, so let's transition back to first vintage. You started your own winery now. I think it was 2002. Was that the first vintage?
Well, 2000, but 2002 for McPrice Myers, correct.
So what was 2000 then?
That was what Russell and I started. That
Okay.
was the Barrel 27 operation. We
Okay.
both had some wines that we had from a previous vintage that we blended together to make the Barrel 27. But for McPrice Myers, it was 2002, and it was Larner Vineyard Syrah, which was not what it is today, being sought after as it is, but it was just a new vineyard coming online in this really
Well,
cool
just,
sandy spot in Ballard Canyon. Yeah.
I mean, certainly helps draw attention to great vineyards when great wine is being made from them, right?
Oh, it was from the get-go, guys. It was Russell and I, and it was a few of us. There was probably it was Michael Bonacorsi, who unfortunately passed as well, and Seth Coonan, who unfortunately. But it was there was about it was Craig Jaffers, Michael Bonacorsi, Russell and I, and Seth Coonan were the first to start buying fruit. The first like probably 3 or 4 years of it coming online, and we all absolutely knew that it was special, unbelievably special. And
Yeah.
I'm still fortunate today. I mean, the 2024 guys, Larner, that we put together this year, we fermented it in concrete. It's absolutely amazing. And just the age of vine and the depth it has, and just it's amazing. But that's for my first wine, it was pretty. I look back at it and how fortunate I was to be able to snag some of that fruit, and for them to take a chance on, a punk kid that just, thought he could make wine and go, yeah, we'll sell you fruit. Can you pay for it? Sure, I can. And luckily I did have the dough, and I was able to pay for it right away. And but it was an amazing wine, and I'm very fortunate. That was my first wine ever made.
Well,
Do you
you've
still
had-
have any bottles?
I do. I still have a case left. Last
Wow.
bottle I popped. Oh, that was probably about 4 years ago. Was still pretty amazing, I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Nice.
It's still holding up. And I popped an O2 Biennacido from Paul Lotto that I still had in my cellar that he still bugs me about buying back for me. I don't think I have any more now, but that was pretty good as well. But yeah,
I'm not a
no,
huge. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah.
we
No, you
had,
No,
first, please.
Yeah, it was just Larner Vineyard was from the time we all smelled it in the fermenter. I mean, we all knew something special was going on, guys. It was absolutely it's a sand dune. It's pure sand. And so you with sand, you get this incredible aromatic complexity. It's like and then the texture of the wines are, textures are related to their ground, right? So if you're in clay, it's really round and silky. If you're in limestone, it's really chalky and mineral. If you're in sand, it's like you would think, it's very fine. It's a fine tannin. It's a very beautiful texture. It's very unique. It's very singular. It's really hard to find that kind of texture anywhere else besides sand.
Hey, who between you and Russell, who's the better beer blender?
Oh, I think I don't know. I've never been part of that beer blending trial, but I would say I don't know. I think Russell's pretty good at it, but he drinks Coors Light, so I may
That's a good
renege on
point.
that. He's a C- guy. I'm not a C- guy.
all I can see, we had Russell on here, what, a year
A
ago?
year ago.
Yeah.
A year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, this month, I believe.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And yeah, you guys must have had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun, guys. I will tell you. Young,
I,
yeah, we had too much fun. I'll be honest with you.
I have no doubt about that. And and Paul Lotto, I gotta say, I'm not a big Pinot fan, but I love his Pinots.
Yeah, he's definitely he rides that line between that, ripe style, that big like sea
Yeah.
smoky kind of style,
Right,
and
right.
he plays that line pretty well. He's always been kind of like that. He as I believe, I kind of feel the same way. We make wine in California. We're not trying to be old world.
Yeah.
But there is a certain balance to embracing the sunshine and also, having wines that have some nuance and some layers to it, for sure.
Well, to that point, how are you making selections? And let's go back from 2022, your own brand. How are you selecting or deciding vintage to vintage what wines you're going to make?
It all starts in the vineyard, right? It all starts the vineyard selection. And this is well before we have our estate vineyard. It was vineyard selection. I mean, so Larner, and then the next year I went out and visited a vineyard in '02 called Alta Mesa, which is up in the Santa Barbara Highlands. So like picture like the northeastern corner of Santa Barbara County. You're closer to Kern County than you are, like Los Olivos and all that stuff. And I went out there and I fell in love with this vineyard. It was Grenache and Mourvèdre, two varieties that I really wanted to make. And it kind of reminded me of like the Priorat or Central Spain. And so the next vineyard, next year, I make wines from that vineyard. And I tasted it from the guy that was farming it, and he made stuff in '02. So I knew that based on what I tasted in his barrels, this lot of potential. So then, that was the next vintage. And then the next vintage was a vineyard manager called me, and he had some Syrah from a very cool climate in a Rio Grande Valley. And he said, and I have a barrel for you to try as well. So you go and taste the barrel, you look at the ground, and you're like, that site is something that I really wanted to work with. But it starts with the site. It's got to start there.
So before you have your estate, are you, when you're sourcing fruit like that, are you seeking out varieties that you want to make, or are you willing to make whatever variety becomes available if it's from a good source?
Yeah, no. So this was it was all about Rhone varieties for me at that time. I was a Rhone guy. I fell in love with the Rhone varieties. So it was great sites that had Rhone varieties, right? It started with Syrah, and then a little bit of Grenache and Mourvèdre, and then I wanted to do some a little more cool climate Syrah. And then the next year after that, that's when I was able to get into the Paso thing, because I really wanted to do. I had in 2002, after I made my Larner Syrah, I got to meet Justin Smith, and he sold me a bottle of his first Bone Rock from James Barry Syrah. And
He sold it to you.
Yeah, he was making wine at my old facility that Russell and I had. It's a long story about Garrettson and the whole thing, but he was making wine there, and I was there tasting, and someone mentioned that he was making wine because him and Matt Trevison were partners on Lene Coloto.
Yeah.
And then he left to go start Saxum, and this is before Saxum was even a name. And he said he made some Syrah from James Barry Vineyard, and I asked him, hey, I got cash, could I buy a couple bottles? And he sold me a couple bottles.
What was selling price at that time?
$45.
Nice.
$45. And then I tasted it, and I was like, holy shit, all right. This is something to be done in Paso. And that was the wine that kind of got me going into the Paso direction as well. And then in 2005 was when I was able to secure my first Syrah grapes from Paso.
So I've heard you reference a couple regions in Spain, Priorat, and I think you may have said Rio. I don't know. Yeah, I think I heard you. I know you mentioned Cornas, so we got Northern Rhone. You've talked about Châteauneuf-du-Pape, so we got Southern Rhone. Talk about the influence you have, the old word influence. Is it from visiting the region or just trying the wines?
Both. Trying the wines. I'm a huge wine geek. I love wines from all over the world. But my first love was the Rhone world, which led me to go. I've been to the Rhone Valley, now probably 5 or 6 times in my career, and made a lot of great lifelong friends there as well, and get to taste a lot of great wines. I mean, those are inspirational. We're not trying to copy those, but those are definitely inspirational wines. So like Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Gigondas, Facaras, the Northern Rhone, down in the south in the Languedoc. I mean, and then of course, you get down into the Priorat and in central Spain, like Tarragona and the central Spain, down into Jumilla, where they're doing Monastrell like crazy. There's just so many incredible producers, and yeah, I mean, these are all very inspirational wines. I mean, I would say that, I think, um, we in Paso, we have an incredible ability to grow incredible Grenache. I don't think it's caught on yet, with the American palate, so to speak, outside of people that love Paso and love what we do there. But I think Paso is going to be known for some incredible Grenache, especially as these vines get older. I mean, with our soils and our proximity to the ocean and our ability to retain acidity in a grape that doesn't typically have it other places. I think we're gonna be doing some special things, but that's just one thing, right? That's just, and there's just so many cool things going on in other parts of the world, which does translate to what we're doing in Paso, because we're starting to work with these, obscure varieties or blending varieties like Graciano, and we're starting to really get into Cinsault and Counoise just with climate change. I mean, these varieties do extremely well in our soils and our climate. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I rambled on there a little bit, but
Oh,
'cause
no, that's good.
I'm just thinking about all these things, because it's just like, we're making wine, guys. It's simple. I'm never going to get where I want to go in my lifetime. I'm going to have maybe 40 cracks at it, 45 cracks at making a vintage. That's nothing, right? You could do, make 40 different recipes over a work week if you're a chef, right? And try all different things. I got 40 times. That's it. And so I'm never going to get where I want to go, but it's an incredible journey. And so I love that whole voyage. It's all part of it. It's such an incredible thing.
You
I
like
love that
you
perspective,
like the
Mac.
chase. The
I
chase.
love it. I love it. I mean, once you come to terms with it, if when I hear, and this is not I'm not indicting anybody or pointing a finger at anybody, but when I hear anybody say in the production side of things or winemaking, we perfected this, we perfected that. That's it. I'm done. There's no perfection. This is an ongoing thing, that is something that you're always trying to, turn up the dial or turn down the dial or fine tune things. It's a balancing act, guys, that every vintage is different, and every block and every variety is different in that vintage, and how we blend it's different. And it's just, there's too many variables to get it right, perfectly right. And that's the greatness of it, right? That's what makes wine so intriguing and captivating, is every vintage is so unique. It's a fingerprint, it's a thumbprint, or whatever you want to say, or it's another chapter to the 6,000 year book that we're all part of.
Um, yeah, I love that perspective. I think that really
And
hit up to a lot
absolutely
of people in the company.
one of the most impressive perspectives we've heard. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to ask you selfishly, do you have a favorite winery to visit in Spain, or a favorite winery experience that you've had in Spain?
No, I've not been to Spain. I've only been to France. I've not been to
Okay, well
Spain yet. I've been wanting to. If I was to go, there's a winery. It's Daniel Landy, and it used to be called Jimenez Landy, but they're in central Spain, and I would love to go visit them. And if it was the Priorat, I would probably say, that's a good question. Maybe visit Daphne at Clos Erasmus, even though those wines are maybe a little different than my style, but I think that I just her perspective and knowledge I could learn a lot from those two, for sure.
This is an impossible question, so just the first one that comes to mind. But then in France, let's just go to the Rhone region.
Yeah.
Uh, a favorite visit.
Northern or southern? Because I could dice it up with all those.
Let's go southern, because northern is a little bit more restricted to Syrah, right? So
Yeah.
let's go southern. More variety there.
So I would say that if purely based on access and incredible wines, of course. But Julien Barreau from Domaine de la Baroche is an amazing visit. I was just
Pure.
there. The pure, and he's an open book, guys, and he's
Yeah.
young, like, well, he's younger than me, but I shouldn't say that. But yeah, he's a young guy, and he's open, and he loves to learn like we are. He's not so rigid, old school, that stuffy French thing. He wants to learn. He likes our feedback, and we taste everything with him. Those are always the most eye-opening. But if you want like a little bit more of that reserved, a little bit more of that older gentleman, Jean-Paul from Villers-Julien, he makes some incredible wines. There's a sense of poise that I don't find out of many wines in that area. There's a sense of there's just this, there's a regalness to what he does in the bottle. And it does translate to him. He's a very proper gentleman. Once he vets you and he knows that you're legit and your stuff, so to speak, he'll be an open book as well. But those two guys are amazing people. I mean, look, I've been to 100 wineries in that area, and they're all great. And I have a lot of stories with all of them, but those two in particular, I have a fondness for sure.
Awesome. Good tips. Thank you. So for you personally, what do you find to be the most challenging part of making wine?
Selling the wine is the most challenging by far. But outside of that, that's a whole another subject. But I would say the challenge of winemaking is dealing with the weather that we're seeing, the extreme weather that's continuing to happen. I mean, it just is, guys. I'm telling you, it's been so. Just to give you kind of 3 years, I'm going to give you 3 years. 22 is my earliest vintage I've ever had. 23 was the latest vintage I ever had. And 24 was the most truncated vintage I ever had. We picked the most grapes ever in the shortest period of time. It was absolutely bonkers because of the weather.
Yeah.
So 3 vintages, and I've asked like people that have been growing grapes for 50, 60 years, and 22 and 23 were similar for them as well, earliest and latest.
So it's interesting. The most common answers to that question are selling or weather. You're the first one to put them both together.
Right.
Well, but the selling side is it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
But that's the truth, right? I mean,
And
we
it's
all
not why
joke
most
around.
people get into making wine, and they get into making because they love it, not because of selling, which is a whole different animal, right?
But if you could embrace the passion and love for winemaking and just get a dose of that into selling the wine and showing people how much you love it, I think selling becomes a little easier. But I can't be everywhere, but we have incredible people that are part of our team that are out there doing it. So it's tough. That the selling part is the tough part. There's a lot of competition out there. And
kudos to Liz Mack because she knows how to sell wine.
Yeah.
No, Liz, are you kidding me? Like, come on, Liz is great. But this is
keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Yeah, keep the comments coming. Yeah.
Now let me throw some heart. How do I do that? Put hearts up there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Mac, I have to say, when you're making Wine Spectator's top 100 list at the number 16 spot, I'm hoping that's helping the sales. And let's see, of course, again, winemaker of the year. Your right-hand man was noted as one of the best Syrahs for 2023, right?
Sure.
I'm hoping these things are helping sell because it's the best part of that is you're just doing your winemaking magic and then letting these other people help sell from the recognition of the quality that you made.
Absolutely. Those things are great. They help out quite a bit. You need more than that, but those help out quite a bit. And yeah, I mean, it's like look, when I started this, I didn't think I'd be doing this for 24 years. And here I am. And I'm very fortunate that way. And anytime any publication or anybody says anything positive, it's great. I don't take it for granted. Absolutely not. I mean, it's really special to me, to someone to taste something that I love, that I work hard on, and recognize it. It's great.
And I'm sure you get all the credit for all the recognition that Verinda and Anita have been receiving lately as their neighbor, right?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
This is just checking to see if they're still paying attention.
Yeah.
So what's the most exciting part of making wine?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say gratifying. Let's start with gratifying. Gratifying is that last day of pressing of a harvest. And when you get it all done, it's all in the barrel, it's all done, and you kind of look back and assess the vintage. That's a very gratifying moment. I will tell you, when you nail a blend, when you nail something, and you felt like you captured that. Yeah, when you feel like you captured something, you captured that vintage from that place, and just all the nuances you picked up over the year, tasting it, or 18 months or whatever. That's a pretty special moment. I think that there's a feeling you get of all the hard work and all the attention to detail. It paid off.
Is there, if you look back in the couple decades or so that you've been making wine, is there a single favorite bottle that you've made?
Ooh, that's a good question. No, I don't have a single favorite, but there's some gems in there. I would say,
if you had to pick one of your entire lineup to represent
man.
who you are as a winemaker, which one are you picking?
Oh, that's a good question.
Beautiful Earth.
Which vintage, though?
Oh, which vintage?
Yeah, I think he's talking about a vintage too.
Yes. Yeah.
I would say 13 Beautiful Earth is pretty special. 13 Marner is pretty special.
Yeah, that's good.
I would say 6. Oh, that's tough. That's a tough one.
17 Legale.
It's hard to keep it into a vintage, but the label year over year.
Yeah, I think I think that something that represents me and my style, especially for Paso wines, the Beautiful Earth by far is represents kind of the house style, so to speak. That's kind of a loose term. I don't know, but yeah, but that is. It's like, I have a lot of freedom with that wine to put something together. It still holds to the beginning and of that wine, which was always Syrah, Grenache, Morvet, and now we've blended in other varieties into it. But yeah, no, that wine is it's still it's the most popular wine we make.
Do you still have the 13s in
oh yeah,
in your library?
Oh yeah, 13s are yeah, for sure. 13s. I don't know if we have enough to sell, but I have stuff all the way back to 06 still in the cellar.
Got it. But
I popped at 07 and 09. The 11 is still young. We had it about 6 months ago. Still young wine.
What's your oldest vintage available for sale?
Well, that's a good question. Liz can help out with that. I don't know.
The oldest
12?
vintage available for sale. Yeah, we have some 12.
There's some 11s, guys, that we haven't released yet. So when those are released, those will be the oldest.
Wow.
We finally sold out of our 2010 Longe Rouge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Liz, did we sell out of that?
I think so.
That was pouring incredible up until, a few months ago.
You're talking about Beautiful Earth, right?
No, we're talking about a few different wines, but
okay.
but yeah, so we have we still have some 2011s that we haven't even released yet because they're still on the young side. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but trust me, when you taste them, you're going to be like, yeah, I get that. These wines
That's
are
amazing. What
we
are
have
what's
2011 Le Galley, 2011 Larner
are they
are
they blends or are they single varietal?
they're single vineyard Syrahs that are
Yeah, okay.
still amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are the wines, guys, that I think, and I'm sure you guys have heard this more than you would like, that, wines, especially from our area, from Paso or the Central Coast, that they don't age, but that's bullshit. I'm sorry, they do. And not all wines do. Every wine is its own thing. But when we pop wines, I love popping wines for people that say that a wine I just did it the other day. Someone was like, Grenache doesn't age. So I popped a 2012 Santa Barbara County Grenache from the Longe Rouge, and they had to eat crow. They had to go, hey, the heck, you're right. And the wine was absolutely gorgeous. And did it have some age on it? Absolutely. But it's 12 years old.
Yeah.
And, I think I think that the wines can age. Like I said, not every wine. And we try to be as proactive as we can, telling our customers what wines to pop. It's like a simple thing, like drink the 22s before the 21s, or drink the 19s before the 18s, or whatever. I mean, we try to do that as much as possible, but no, those are some solid wines. The
So I know
2011 Le Galley Syrah is, when we release it again, it's going to be a special wine.
Cool.
So if you get an email that it's available, it's a pretty special wine.
that's a good tip. That's a good tip. That's a good reason for everybody to have been on this call, just to find out that tip. And speaking of good tips, and I know we're running out of time, but a popular segment here is um, asking you for a pro tip on how somebody might consume wine better. I mean, it might be anything from how you buy it to how you store it to how you pour it, but any kind of pro tip you can share with the group on that.
All right. I do have something, because this has been something that's been happening over the last couple of years. When you're going to pop a library wine, something that has some substantial age on it, and when I say that, I call it 8 years or older, put the bottle right side up for more than a few days, if you can, before you pop it, because those wines will have lees, they'll have some sediment, and that mutes a wine, guys. That mutes it. It makes it less attractive aromatically and texturally. So please do that before you pop some of these older wines. And when we bring library wines from the warehouse, we put them right side up for at least a couple of weeks before we start selling them.
That is a great tip, Mac. We have not heard that one before, so kudos to you for that.
That drives me bonkers, guys, when someone brings a wine to a dinner or something, and it's fresh out of the cellar when it was laying on its side, and then all the lees gets put into solution, and the wine's totally muted and weird. And because the lees, all the sediment, guys, holds the oxygen, holds the oxidative qualities. And when you put it back in a solution, it makes the wine seem a little bit maybe oxidized, or is a little numb or muted.
Wow, that's a great tip.
That's a new one. Yeah, that's new for us. Yeah, very good.
Well, before I turn over to Q&A, time permitting, Mac, I just want to turn it over to you for anything that you would like to share about the wine club, about the current lineup, anything about the business you'd like to share to the group.
Yeah, we got, of course, the wine club. Liz can share some information on that, but we are in the final stages of our new tasting room and being complete. We should be hopefully ready to open in early next year, right, Liz? Is that the plan?
That is the plan. I will drag everyone kicking and screaming to the completion of that plan.
Yes. So that's big news for us, guys. I mean, you know, we've been existing tasting on a handicap spot in front of our winery for the last
4
little more
years.
than 10 years.
Well, yeah, I
Well,
guess
four,
that.
yeah, 2014 we started, but yeah. But you know, since at least for the last 5 years, the table's outside, and we finally are going to have a proper venue that I think the wines deserve. It's not fancy, but it's our fancy, and it's I'm pretty excited. I'm very proud to have this, and I think everybody that works with the winery is very proud as well. It's
Well,
it's
we
going to
look
be pretty
forward to
I
impressive.
have
coming by.
I have to give you guys a tip of the hat. I was there in June of 21. That was my first visit there with my wife and a couple friends, and it was super hot. We were just coming out of COVID, and I was so impressed. You guys had individual, I'm not making fun of this. I mean, you had individual air conditioners in front of the table, right, Liz? Yeah.
That's
The
right,
swamp
yeah.
coolers.
And I believe Liz served us.
Yeah.
And I just going, wow, this is amazing. They're trying to bring the indoors to the outdoors. It was hot,
Yeah.
no doubt. And, but we enjoyed ourselves, and it was COVID, and things were a freaking mess. So it,
Mhm.
you know, I applaud you for the effort. You know, because
Yeah.
incredible times then. So.
Well, and we look forward to coming out and supporting you at the new place too, and watching for the 2011 library release.
Yeah, no, it's the, yeah, no, we're gonna continue to have some incredible library releases. I think those wines, you know, they just show a different element. They just getting into that secondary. They have a little more sophistication to them, and they show that we can age wine. We can we can do some wines that you know, that stand the test of time. And I'm, you know, I love doing that. I love changing people's mind about that kind of stuff. And it's surprisingly when we release wines, library wines, now that we've been doing it for
Lost your
a few
audio.
years now,
Was it just
people
me?
love it. Yeah, people dive in now. That's
Oh.
great because they know that the wines are going to be great.
Well, and not to just talk about the library because I'm drinking a baby here, this 22 Paper Street, and it really is spectacular. It's delicious.
That's an
Very
incredible site, guys.
I'm
Incredible site. I was very lucky to get on the ground floor. I was the first person that they took out there, first winemaker. And they had, at that time, they had about 60 acres cleared and ready to plant. And I was able to get 52 of the 60 acres and plant. At that time we planted 8 red varieties and 2 white. And that's an incredible site. I'm always fortunate to feel fortunate to be part of that vineyard, owned by the Ducey family, who's been growing grapes for 5 generations now. And as you guys all know, I'm sure. So yeah,
Well,
and one back to what I was saying about grapes though, real quick. Sorry.
no.
We had 8 red varieties when we first started. One variety, Petite Syrah, it just did not do well up there. Being above the inversion line, above the fog line for most of it. The Petite Syrah would not do well every vintage, so we decided to graft over. I convinced them to do Cinsault and Counoise, and it's does remarkably well there. It's unbelievable how good it is. And I've tasted French winemakers on the Cinsault. I've tasted people that are, you know, European guys that love European wines, and they're just blown away by the depth and the color and just the texture of the Cinsault from that place. And I'm pretty stoked on that. So now we have 9 red varieties and 2 white.
Right.
Mac, I want to thank you again, and Liz, I want to thank you for all your help in coordinating. If you've got a few more minutes, I'll turn it back over to Mike to walk through some Q&A if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Sure.
We actually, Colleen, and she had a question like, we'd like to hear about the story about the pictures behind you.
So this one with the red head behind me, that's a self-portrait that my son did when he was probably kindergarten or first grade, I think. I don't remember actually. These are all art that my son did when he was,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Very good, by the way.
Yeah, he's good, huh? I know. That's what this is my spot I like to sit. It's in my house. It's the most comfortable, and it's it's got the art gallery behind there. So yeah, and he still has the red hair. He's still a very handsome gentleman with red hair. He's great.
I know we have questions out there. I'm going to defer to my friend Verinder real quick. You got anything in Verinder you want to throw out there?
No, I'm a big fan of Max wines, and I'm also drinking 22 Paper Street, and I was just was interested in listening to the story just like anybody else, and I
You got good taste, Verinder.
a great mentor, so yeah.
Yeah. Anybody
Well,
else?
thank you.
Who else has questions?
I do.
Raise your hand.
I have my hand up.
Go
Hi,
ahead, Laura.
Laura. So we want to thank Liz for your 4-pack, because when I went on the website to go buy something, I would have been lost of knowing what to pick out to try tonight. So thank you. And I have to say my favorite, even though I did have the Paper Street as well here at the end, but the Beautiful Earth was my favorite of the evening.
Nice.
The first time I ever had any of your wine was just this calendar year back in March at the At Her Table James Beard dinner. You
Uh-huh.
had a sparkling that was a collaboration with somebody else, and I don't remember who else it was. Can you tell us about that collaboration and why did you do the sparkling? Do you still have any of that? Are you guys doing sparkling again? What's the story there?
Yeah, we're still selling some of those wines. That was with Ryan Devlett from Devlett Wines. He was a guy I met in Central Coast Wine Services down in Santa Maria. He was the assistant winemaker for Stephen Ross Cellars. And I introduced him into some really crazy, I'm a huge champagne guy. And I introduced him to some crazy champagnes like Jacques Solos and Marie Cortin and Andre Clouet and all these great producers. And he made Pinot and Chard, and he tasted me on a Chardonnay that he was making. And he said, I think this would be something that would be great for making sparkling wine. And I went over and tasted it, and I said, yeah, I think it would be. And so that's kind of the idea that sparked it. And our first vintage was 13. Yeah, it's called Myers Devlett, and we make now we make a perpetual cuvee. If people know about that, and then which started in 13 and it goes 13. I think the current one is 13 to 21 that's in tank right now, that is going to go into tirage here in January. And then we also make a Brut Rosé. These are all extra brutes. So we lean on lower dosage, fresher style, more vibrancy. We're doing all Santa Barbara County fruit. I shouldn't say that. We're doing some stuff from Avila area, from San Luis, Slow Coast, the new AVA. But we do a lot of old vines like Biennacido and Sanford and Benedict. Yeah, those are great wines, and I'm a huge champagne guy. So yeah, I've been doing those since 13.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
Colleen, did you have a question?
Nope, we asked it already. That was Aloha Deb.
Oh, okay. Anybody else have a question? I don't see anything.
You know me, I'll keep asking questions.
But I will acknowledge that if you read, Liz has extended out a promo for the members. to order some wine from McPrice Myers. So
Yeah.
That was nice.
please note that and get some wine for your holidays.
Absolutely. No, that's great.
They just had a great case special too. We picked up a case of the bull by the horns. We went to the winery and had a nice little picnic. They have beautiful grounds.
Yes.
Great wines.
That case sale is still ongoing, just in case
Yeah,
anyone's needing
well, I'm
some
gonna
wine.
sign up and pick up something. Any bubbles coming up?
Yeah.
Once
we're
we
gonna-
open the new tasting room. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, correct. Liz is exactly right. We're gonna once we open the new tasting room, we're gonna have some Brut Rosé that will be that's on hold right now to release the new tasting room. You gotta celebrate with some bubbles.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be for the grand opening. I'm assuming we'll start and then we'll pour them to their. It's not a lot. I think we only have like 60 something cases left, guys. So it won't be a lot, but it's a killer bottle of wine. So I'm excited.
Any more of the Blanc de Blanc coming?
That's all gone. And so I have the version, what's called Line of Descent, which is the perpetual cuvee. Version number 2 is in tirage. We plan to disgorge sometime in late winter, early spring. And then that will be the next one. And so that typically we release them I give about 6 months in the bottle for everything to come together after disgorging. That'll probably be fall of next year, I'm thinking. That's another one that's amazing. A lot of hazelnut and really cool brioche flavors. It's really, really nice.
Good. Anybody else have a question?
There's been a couple in the chat.
Go ahead, Joe.
Not a question, but a comment. I want to give kudos to Liz because I think she's the most tenacious marketer that I have on my telephone. It's like, hi, this is Liz. How are you? And it's like she's in my face, which is a good thing
She's
for
a
marketing.
salesperson.
I'm in
That's the problem.
sales, so I want to say kudos to you. I put my hat off to you because you are always top of mind, and that's really cool. So I just wanted to say that.
I have just one comment. There's a show we like to watch on the Psalm channel, and Claire
Copia,
and she'll
Yeah.
go to Trader Joe's and she'll pull these like $6 bottles off and she'll taste through them. And we've tried a couple and they're great. I just feel like she needs to interview you. I feel like that's destiny right there.
Laura, what's the Psalm channel?
I've seen Claire do that before. And I'm gonna go ahead and spill the beans, guys, that I still do wines on occasion for Trader Joe's. So we just sold them a GSM for the Platinum Reserve Trader Joe's. We did a Zinfandel Platinum Reserve, and they just released a Cab Franc that we did, a Paso Cab Franc Platinum Reserve. So if you look on the back of one of their Trader Joe's private labels and it says Barrel 27, that's us.
Oh,
Great. Yeah.
that's Intel. Yeah.
That's Intel. So I recommend if you see that, buy it. It's gonna be a great value for sure. Yes, I still have a tight relationship that my wife still works for Trader Joe's now 28 years. That's where we met. In Huntington Beach in 1999. So
That's where Jason's from. Yeah.
that's it, so it's I still have close relationships built there, and when I do have wine available, we make wine for Trader Joe's. So
Is it the harbor location in Huntington Beach?
No,
Or
5
the
Points.
5 Points?
Yeah, that was the only
5
store
Points.
back then. It was only 5 Points.
Got it.
Yeah.
Laura Tinker, what's the Psalm channel?
What's the Psalm channel? It's a whole channel of all things wine, and they have some great they have a great series which they haven't filmed, I think, because of COVID. It's been a little bit called Behind the Glass, which is a lot like this, except it's the whole deep dive into each winemaker's backstory.
Is this like YouTube though, or is it?
It's its own channel. You can download it on your smart TV, and I think it's like $6 a month or something. So yeah, it's fun. It's educational.
I need
He-
to make it. I
this
need
was
to make
this was
it
the
correct.
the guy that started it was the guy that did you know the documentaries of Psalm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the same guy that started that, and then now he's kind of started this. It's its own TV channel, and he has all these different TV shows, food shows. It's really great. Yeah, it's yeah, you get to meet some incredible psalms, and they do a lot of fun stuff with wine. It's very educational.
They'll do blind tastings, like two psalms sitting across, and they each bring a bottle, and they blind taste each other's, and they gotta try to
Oh,
get
I love
everything in. And
Yeah, I love that.
I just want to make a correction. There's nothing like this.
Right?
Come on, Laura.
The
Come on.
Psalm channel doesn't have this or that segment, though. So
Right. That's a differentiator right there.
Our organization, of course. We're loose. We just play it loose. Okay.
So I have a question, Mac. So a lot of people are drinking the Paper Street Cuvée and are loving it. So what would be the best meal to have with that wine?
Oh yeah, braised short ribs over some
Yes.
polenta, a lamb
My
shank.
God.
You got cheese, a big sloppy steak. I mean, come on, yeah. I mean, steak sandwich. I mean, you know, keep it full flavor with this wine. You know, you got to have something that has a lot of food with a lot of flavor to, you know. I wouldn't do spicy. Stay away from the spicy, but something full flavor. Yeah.
Spicy and red wine.
Nah, not always. Not always.
You
With
ruined
this wine,
Of course, Laura.
I've totally done girl dinner with just cheeses and meats and bread. Delicious.
Snacks. I love snacks.
It's called girl dinner.
Don't make it just about
We
girl,
want to
come
be
on.
respectful of your time. If anybody has any questions left, please ask them now.
I just
Otherwise,
comment, Mac, amazing winemaker, amazing wines, and if any of you guys haven't visited McPrice, you guys need to. And always, man, respect you. Very, very inspiring story, and that's why I'm on. I just wanted to. I know we met many times, but I just wanted to hear your story and love it.
Cheers. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And right back at you.
And by the way,
we all love
I
Verinda.
think, and the best I recall, and Mike correct me otherwise, I think this is the first time Verender's actually joined for one of these. So I think that says something.
I actually believe that Verinda is the first winemaker to ever join any of them.
Yeah, no,
Well, that's not true, actually. We have had others.
I absolutely love what Mac is doing and has been doing, and
we can have that on a sidebar, but I don't believe anybody.
And I was in the tasting room like with our team like not too long, like 2 weeks ago, and absolutely genuinely love these folks.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And right back at you, obviously. And you guys are doing incredible stuff as well. And it's nice to have neighbors like you for sure. Thank you so much.
Short drive between the two wineries, so.
The way I drive, like 4 or 5 minutes. The way everybody else drives, about 10. Okay.
Yeah. No, we love both you guys. You guys are great. And are we keeping you up, Liz? Sorry.
I've become old. I'm tired.
You're old. There's a no whole story there. But anyways, Mac, thank you so much for joining.
Welcome.
By the way, everybody that joined in tonight, happy holidays. This is the last episode of the year. We won't be back till January 11th with Tobe and James. And I hope everybody will join in. I'd like other winemakers to join in the show too. But we're all I'm doing is wish the best for you over the holidays.
Yeah.
Hoping for a happy new year. And thanks so much for supporting this, because so many people keep coming back to the show over and over again. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So,
Amen. Well said, Mike.
Well, thanks everybody. Happy holidays. Thanks for having me.
I'll see you next
And
April.
and if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to Liz, not me.
Absolutely.
True.
Well, Mele Kaliki Maka and Ole Makahiki Ho. We
Oh,
wish
look at
you
that.
a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, blessings to all our families, and don't
You bet.
forget to keep it going.
You bet.
And by the way, I
Cheers,
gotta
guys.
say, Liz is a great communicator. She answers your questions very quickly.
And one thing I'll say about Liz, do you know that she rescues 300 to 400 cats a year? Someone doesn't know that about her. That woman rescues and saves lives every single day. She's amazing. You have no idea what she does to the other side of the community besides the wine community.
I think somebody needs to
Absolutely.
call Guinness on that. That's got to be close to a record,
That
right?
woman is the biggest angel you'll ever meet. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
No,
She
it's
is.
true.
No
I
joke,
love her
guys.
even more now.
Love you,
Yeah.
Liz. Meow, meow, meow.
Okay,
Absolutely.
we'll end it here.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for everything. Happy holidays.
And, shoot
Cheers,
the shit.
everybody.
You can
Good
stay
luck
on.
with Tobin James. Keep the Coors Light on ice for him. And I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much. You guys
Thanks,
have a
Matt.
great one. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Awesome. That was great. Let me kill the recording here.